Okay, I want to talk today about how Bolognese is the best form of fencing. Now, I mean, that's not really maybe true, but it's maybe one of the best things that you can train on your own, and it is historical fencing. But it's different from a lot of other kinds of fencing because it depends mainly on the passing step. It's not the only thing they have. They have a lot of like switch steps, they have all sorts of nifty things, but it's based on the passing step instead of the lunging step or the thrusting step that we normally have in a lot of other kinds of fencing, including kendo. So how do you train this? Well, you get your sword and you can do what they call ribbon cuts by just cutting left and right, and you're supposed to go in the same direction as your foot. So if you're moving your foot forward, the sword should move basically in the same direction as that. And you can switch so that you start with this one back and move it forward. You can do other angles. You can, instead of going over your head, you could be cutting just from the wrist around like this. Lots of stuff to do. Why would they base their system mainly on these passing steps? Well, it's because of the use of the shield or something in their left hand. Now, even though they did recommend training very much just with the sword alone, it was always a system based around also having something in your left hand. So yeah, if you're just fencing, really, if your only thing is to learn how to fence with one sword in one hand, you probably shouldn't be doing too many of these passing steps because they're kind of long and big, all right? But if you're thinking of it as more of an entire system, even though you might be training a lot with just one sword, just for whatever reason it's more convenient, it's really meant for a two-handed system. And here, like shields, they're not really that complicated to use. You block things with them. So you can throw anything in your left hand and you can use it fairly easily. Some of the Bolognese or so whatever masters suggested mainly just keeping this thing almost straight out like that. Degrassi certainly does. And different shields would be held with different angles. That's something you can look up on your own. But what I'm saying is that because you're holding something in the left hand, it makes sense that you do a lot of passing steps because both hands have to be equally forward, so it doesn't really matter what foot's there. Yeah, so just getting back again. And one really nice thing about this is that it uses your whole body in these big movements. They're very healthy movements, very healthy to move your whole body in this kind of pattern instead of just these little jerky steps where it's very lopsided, very right hand, right foot dominant. This kind of thing is very, very balanced. And you can always, like training your body like this is a very healthy thing, but you can always just sort of modify what you're doing when you're in the fencing cell to go back to these smaller movements and do your sort of regular rapier or even foil fencing. So anyway, that's my couple cents on Bolognese. It's very, very simple. You have the different angles of cuts, and you generally want to, though there are exceptions, generally you want to move the sword cutting in the direction that your foot's pulling your body, because that's how you get the strength. You see, all right. So here, my legs are actually what's making the sword move as much as my arms, and they also get you out of the way, right? If you're sort of moving around like this, you're now not so close to the enemy. The enemy doesn't really know where you are or where you're going to be. It's a very, very effective system. It was made to work on battlefields where things are coming at you from all kinds of angles, in street fighting. It's just excellent. So maybe one of the best kind of solo forms of fencing might be something like this, but it's also extremely good when you're actually fencing people for real with sword and shield or sword and dagger or sword and cloak or sometimes even just sword and glove. But okay, thank you. That's my 2 cents for today. So have fun with Bolognese.